Hello everyone, welcome back to Inner Kid Keto. This is segment number 11. I'm Linda Schiller, Hannah, and I'm supposed to talk to you about a kind of a heavy subject today. Maybe weight, heaviness is part of what we're about here. Who knows? I'm supposed to talk about suicide prevention. Just like I think everyone needs to know first aid, I think everyone needs to know how to help people who are considering suicide. So that's the purpose of this little talk. I want you to be on board as one of those trained and knowing what to do and what to say. Also, it's entirely possible that maybe one or more of you is even thinking about suicide yourself. I wouldn't rule it out. So come along on this little journey with me and let's talk about it. I was a suicide prevention volunteer in the Bay Area back when I was only in my early 20s. I used to work the night shift because I wake up easy. And over the year I was online, I fielded many calls. What I learned most of all was people who are suicidal need to be heard. They need to be listened to. So if you're feeling suicidal, find someone to listen. If there's no one in your daily life that fits that bill, and that could be part of the reason you're feeling this way, here's the big number, 988. Just like we do 911 to call the police. If you're feeling suicidal, call 988. And there'll be someone to listen on the other end of the phone. Do that. Don't be afraid to do that. You matter. Now, for the layman, I want to give you some tips, things to notice, things to be aware of. Say a person starts talking like this: I might as well be dead. Nobody cares. Oh, what's the use? Doesn't matter if I live or die. Or maybe you see them doing reckless things, driving wild, or doing dangerous sports, jumping off cliffs or things that they're really not prepared to do or trained to do. Maybe if it was a woman, maybe going out dancing in a dangerous neighborhood, not sure she'll actually make it through the night or who she'll go home with. There are a lot of ways people could act out their I don't deserve to be alive feelings or I don't feel good enough to live. Or if you're doing some of those things, pay attention. This message isn't random. It was meant for you if you're feeling that way. I have written a little article called Please Don't Kill Yourself. It's about 2 or 3 pages long. I hand it out for free to anyone who wants it. If you want a copy, there's my email, linda@lightworker22.com. linda@lightworker22.com. And just say, I want the article called Please Don't, and I'll email it to you right away. Sometimes suicidal people will start giving away all their treasured things. Oh, I don't need my guitar. I don't need my fur coat. I'm not going to be around anymore. It's almost like a hook to the person they gave it to, like after they're dead. Say, God, they gave me their thing. Maybe they were trying to kill themselves and I didn't even notice. So if you're in that mood of, oh, I don't need it, I'm just going to give it away. Notice that too. My brother went through a suicidal phase and he had 2 or 3 guitars. He loved to play the guitar. And every time he'd get mad, he'd smash the guitar. Or he'd take a car and drive it into the ditch and ruin it. If you've got patterns of destroying your stuff, that's an indication you're in trouble. Take care of yourself. You're here with me because you need this message, or you know someone who needs this message, or you might know someone who needs this message. Now, if a person is talking suicide around you, you can ask them some questions. These are things that we learn to do in our training. Well, if you were going to kill yourself, how would you do it? Pay attention to their answer. Oh, I don't know. I've got half a bottle of baby aspirin. I might take it tomorrow. I don't know. Or they say, I've got a loaded gun to my head. This is it. You know that the one with the loaded gun to their head is much more lethal. And one of the reasons we ask the question is to determine how lethal they are. Now, these are some of the things we know statistically. Many women attempt suicide many more times than men. It's a cry for help. It's always a cry for help. And I say, why don't we help them? Let's help them. Let's listen. Let's pay attention. Is that too much to ask in a loving society? Not on my watch. Listen. We need each other, a community. We need each other. Every one of us has gone through dark times, miserable times, feelings like, I don't know if I can handle this another day. So reach out. If you're too scared to reach out to a human, reach out to God. There's a wonderful site called silentunity.org. It's a prayer site on the internet. It is put together by Unity Church. I used to spend many years at Unity Church. And they have the best prayer team you'll ever find. I mean, there's a lot of good prayer teams, but Unity is amazing. And you can just write out your prayer right in the little box and fill out your information. If you want to make a donation, you can. If you don't, it's okay. They'll still pray with you. Or they have a phone number there, and if you want to call them, they'll pray with you. I can tell you every time I've called Silent Unity, that thing got fixed for myself or someone else. It's almost magic. They pray every day for a month, if you ask. If you need to have it renewed at the end of the month, go back. A lot of times suicidal people are isolated. We don't want you to stay alone. Even being part of our little inner kid keto community is better than totally alone. If you need just to re-people your life with us, keep coming back here. Maybe write on comments. Maybe email me at linda@lightworker22 and tell me what's going on. So I talked about how women tend to do more false attempts. Unfortunately, men tend to be more lethal. Women might do pills or things like that, slower methods. Unfortunately, men often use guns, something really, or they drive their car off a cliff or something really serious. No turning back. I think men's hormones are more black and white than women's. I think we have a more subtle connection. I'm not sure of that, but that's just my opinion. So if a man is talking suicide around you, say, hey, what's going on? You want to talk about this? What happened today? Usually the first question we'll ask any client when they call on the line is, what happened today? Well, my boss fired me. Our job is to feed it back and repeat back so they feel heard. Oh, you lost your job? Yeah, he doesn't pay me enough to make it work. Oh, so you're having money troubles too? See how we rephrase it? It shows we're really listening. Gosh darn it, I have a car that's a piece of crap and it keeps breaking down and it doesn't get me to work. It's not reliable and he doesn't pay me enough to keep my damn car going. Wow, so you're having car troubles too? And you're having problem getting to work? And you're struggling with money? Yeah, no wonder I want to die. That sounds really tough, honey. Tell me what else is going on? Well, my girlfriend, la la la. If we keep feeding it back, they feel heard. And you can usually start, in the beginning, you'll hear the tension in their voice, and then it starts to calm down as they feel that reassurance of listening, support, care, love. One of the things that we learn in the 12-step program, whether it's AA, OA, NA, ACOA, is it's the disease of isolation. What we need to do is reconnect. Here in America, they say we're having an epidemic of loneliness. Just because we can play on our phone and talk to anybody in seconds or send a text or get on Facebook or all the different ways, or we'll look at a TV, it's not the same as face-to-face, hugs, smiles, voices, sitting over a cup of coffee and laughing, telling jokes. If you're too much in the house by yourself or anywhere else, get the hell out and start being with people. They need to be with you as much as you need to be with them. I'm going to tell you a secret. I attend some kind of meeting with people 7 days a week. You're in, you're out. I am very much a people person. And I do it for me. Oh, I have something to offer. I share back. But Linda needs those connections. And even if it's just online in a 12-step group or a support group, which I go to a lot of different kinds of things like that, I feel better. We've connected, we've laughed together, we've commiserated, we've heard each other. I go to this wonderful lady who has a group, Coach Michelle. It's extremely affordable. If you're ever interested in knowing more about that, email me at linda@lightworker22.com and I'll send you my testimonial about Coach Michelle. Maybe I'll even see you there sometime if you try that out. No pressure, just mentioning that I have learned not to isolate, that isolation can be a kind of death. They say elderly people, one of the hardest things that happens for elderly people is the eventlessness of their lives. They're not going out to their job, maybe their kids stop showing up, they're left alone too much in their little room, nobody visits. They're dying of loneliness and disconnection. Even when I leave town for a couple of days, I hire help and someone to come and take care of my little dogs and cats. It's more than feeding them. I could probably put out enough food for a couple of days, but they need the socialization. They need someone to come and say, hey, you're so cute. How's my little guy today? And they just get all perky. If we love our dogs enough to do that, let's do that for our loved ones, for our people. One of the reasons I'm telling you these things is because I want you to be part of the army of light that notices when someone around you is suffering, struggling, hanging on for dear life. I want you to be part of the people who say, hey, what's going on? Tell me about that. Let's talk about that. Anything I can do to help? I remember one of the times in my life when I felt most desperate. I was having some money struggles. I was self-employed, or like I like to say, sinfully God-employed, but I call it currently between funds. And I began to think, maybe I can't afford to stay alive. That's crazy. One time I was going through some very, very deep recovery work on family dynamics, hard stuff. I was so miserable, I couldn't go to work. I remember painting my walls all day long, and I had a bathtub, and I kept the hot water in the bathtub, and I would cry and paint, and then I'd freak out, and I'd go get in the bathtub, reheat up the water, because I'd left it in, sit in there 20, 30, 40 minutes, and get back out, cry and paint, get back in the bathtub over and over. I did a whole day like that once. That's how far down I was. And at that time I was so messed up I couldn't really work. And I put on my best business coat and I went down to the food bank because I didn't have the money for food. And they said, "Oh, are you one of the counselors?" And I said, "No, I need food." And they said, "Come on back." And I got 2 bags of food. And I was so relieved. I can't tell you how hard it was because my pride, my ego were there. But I am so glad I did that. And the promise I made to myself that day is whenever I have more money, whenever I'm back on my feet, I'm going to make sure that I donate to food banks or other people who need food. And I have done that for years. I have given back much more than 2 bags of groceries, and glad to do so. That's part of being the army of light. You put it out, you receive it, we're all in this together. So you might think, well, gosh, what does this have to do with inner kid keto? It has a lot to do with it, actually. As you start dropping the weight, the feelings may start to come up. Maybe you do feel helpless, hopeless, worthless, useless. There's a little song, "I'm a little acorn brown, lying on the cocoa ground. People come and step on me, that is why I'm cracked, you see. I'm a nut, I'm a nut, I'm a nut. Called myself on the telephone just to hear my golden tone. Wrap my arms around my waist. Got so fresh I slapped my face. I'm a nut, I'm a nut, I'm a nut. Took myself to the picture show, sat right down in the very first row. Put my arms around my face, and that's so slap I got so fresh I slapped my face." I just realized I sang the same song, same verse twice. I really must be a nut, and that's okay. You'll forgive me. I'll forgive me. I'm not going to kill myself over that. Really, I'm not. Your ship could turn around tomorrow. That which you think can't be changed, fixed, or improved could be seconds from breakthrough. That loneliness, Mr. Right or Miss Right, could be you can meet tomorrow standing on a street corner. I met my second husband at a hot dog stand. It can happen anywhere, anytime. Okay? Believe me on this. Thank you for showing up one more time. Not every message will be this heavy. But if someone around you says some throwaway phrase like, "I might as well be dead," or "it doesn't matter," or "who cares," if you're smart, if you're loving, you'll say, "Hey, what's going on? Are you trying to tell me something? Are you thinking of killing yourself?" Well, let's give them time. They matter. You matter. We matter. That's enough. One last thing. If you haven't seen the movie The Whale with Brendan Fraser, if you have any food issues, that's a must-see. It's not an easy movie, but it will rock your world. I think I'm going to watch it again. I've already seen it twice. Don't be surprised if it makes you cry. It's a very powerful, significant film. He won an Academy Award a few years back. But watch for that, The Whale. All right, guys. Love you. Hang in there. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Okay.